Well, this is a bit different, isn't it? Hello, this is me. We'll see how this goes. I've not done a podcast like this before. I've got to remember to look at the camera and not at me on the screen. That's going to be distracting. I'm going to have to cover that up. Complete noob here with this YouTube shenanigans. Usually it's audio only, and I know what I'm doing there. I don't have to worry about whether my hair's sticking up too much or I've got a spot on my nose or I've not shaved, you know. But we are here. We'll see how this goes and what it comes out like. And I've got notes on the screen, so forgive me if I'm not always looking directly at you. And God, what an amateur. And I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I'm sorry. I can't see a bloody thing without... Well, I can. It's close to that I struggle with. And obviously my computer's close to and you're close to. Right, we'll see how we go. All right. Well, let's just move me over there. Sorry, just bear with me. Right, here we go. Amateur, like I said. Oh, by the way, do you like the t-shirt? Dissecting Dexter merch. Look at that. Not available anywhere. Thank you to Austin Hagen for doing the design there. He sent that to me during Resurrection Season 1, and I love what he did with the sunrise or sunset over the New York skyline with the sun looking like a blood slide. Really cool. Thanks, Austin. So, back to what we are here for today. Yes, we are back with another Dissecting Dexter HiatusCast. Welcome, one and all, and thanks for joining me. I am Gareth, your host, and you are listening to the internet's longest running Dexter podcast. This is another hiatus episode where we take a quick walk through the latest news in the Dexter universe. It seems to have suddenly, very quickly become a weekly thing, isn't it? And maybe this is going to continue, as there's only going to be more and more news coming out over the next few weeks and months. Quick warning for anyone listening to this who has been following the Rewatch podcasts and may still only be in season 4 or anywhere that's not completely up to date, really. I would hate to be the one to inadvertently spoil you. We will be talking about stuff relating to the very latest season of Dexter Resurrection. So if you're not fully up to date with the show, you may want to step away. I don't seek out or report on story leaks, plot spoilers, unofficial stuff like, I don't know, set photos, things like that. But stuff that is not official press, if you know what I mean. Things that the creators want us to know about. It's a delicate line that we walk here, as we want to be teased but not spoiled. So I'd say if that's the line you want to walk to, then you've come to the right place. Okay, so where we left off last time, it was a little frustrating, but definitely had a funny side. So we'd had that tease from director Marcos Siega, teasing us about the New York Ripper and who might be playing him in season 2. I did a whole thing breaking down his Instagram reel, going through the images he showed us, looking at what were red herrings and what might be actual clues. Unless I'm mistaken, the only actual clue were the initials BC. Fans had latched onto it as being Bryan Cranston. A lot of people had pinned their hopes on it, which would have been amazing if it had come to pass. He's no doubt a heavyweight actor and would bring something very special to the show. But of course, other BCs exist. And I don't know how I didn't think of Brian Cox when it came to older, veteran, big-name actors. But Brian Cox it is. But it was the timing of the announcement that was funny. I'd posted the podcast last week, and literally within minutes, a few minutes of me doing that, Paramount put out an official announcement video. It went onto Scott's feed, Marcos's feed, in the same sort of Subway style that they used last year for Resurrection Season 1. And boom, there we are. Brian Cox, a Scottish actor with decades of experience on stage and screen, most recently lauded for his work on the hugely popular HBO show Succession. Hugely successful show Succession, I should say. Successful Succession. Big announcement, and perhaps a surprise that they went for broke and announced the Ripper before anyone else. But still, it had me imagining some amazing scenes between Brian and Michael, or even Brian and Cardia Saraf, should they be destined to face off this season. I did reach out to Cardia, and as you can imagine, she's very excited at the prospect of working with Brian. However, there was a little backlash that took me by surprise. Some fans were upset that this is a big spoiler, and they'd have preferred to find out that it was Brian Cox during the season while they watched the show. Someone made the point that Brian could have just been a new character in season 2, and during the course of the season it's revealed that he's the Ripper, a bit like Kurt Caldwell in New Blood, perhaps, with Clancy Brown. That wasn't announced officially that he was the big bad, and it was only during the course of the storyline that we suspected he was the killer, if I remember rightly. Although you could argue that it wasn't much of a stretch to theorise that it would be him. You might argue that the same applies here. We'd have heard Brian had been cast in a role, and everyone would have said, oh, he's going to be the Ripper. It would be the worst kept secret. We speculated that the Ripper would be an older man, although maybe he didn't have to be all that much older. We didn't expect a young man, certainly, but the backlash to the announcement was real. Oh, some people do like to get wound up about things, don't they? I mean, we all have our right to an opinion, so I won't invalidate their view. It's just not one I agree with. I think if the creators thought it wasn't appropriate and they wanted to reveal Brian in a different way, then they could have. But Marcus Yeager himself responded on Instagram with a comment that basically said if they didn't announce it themselves, then the minute Brian showed up on location, someone would take a photo and it would be all over the internet and would all be saying, he's the Ripper. So this way they're getting ahead of it and controlling the news. It was no secret that the Ripper would feature this season. It was just a question of who would be playing him, and now we know. I don't think that's a spoiler, and certainly not without precedent. In the original series, they'd announced who'd be playing the big bad, so this isn't the first time. I don't think there's any point getting mad about it. So if you're listening and you're still feeling a bit upset, I'd just say take a step back and look at the big picture. We've got a great season of Dexter coming, and surely we've got some scenes between Michael C. Hall and Brian Cox to look forward to. It's going to be fun. And about that, I wonder what the nature of their interactions will be. Let's think about where the Ripper's at. We know he was very prolific and active and successfully remained uncaught, much to the chagrin of Detective Wallace. We know that in recent years he resorted to just taunting the families and loved ones of his victims and calling them on the phone. A question to be answered, and I'm sure they'll explore this in the show, is why? Why did he stop killing? Why is he just calling people now? The answer may simply be one of age. Naturally, as people get older, they slow down, their bodies become less physically able, muscle strength reduces, and for a serial killer, where it's important to maintain some agility and physical advantage over your victims, well, as you enter old age, that capability is diminished, isn't it? I wonder if we'll find out that he maybe had a narrow scrape where a victim fought back and nearly got away. Or here's an idea. How about a victim fought back to the extent that the Ripper got seriously injured, maybe even a life-changing injury, meaning he either realised he just couldn't keep doing this without further personal risk, or that his injury just prevented him even considering being able to keep doing this. Maybe it gave him some sort of physical disability. Can you imagine a serial killer with that irresistible urge to take life? We saw last year with Prater's group the thirst they had. And of course we've seen it with Dexter all these years. Imagine suddenly no longer being able to do that. Not because you don't want to or don't need to, but because you simply can't. We can only imagine what that might feel like, as non-psychopaths, but the desire would still be there. The need to have that thrill, that satisfaction. Scratching that itch. So for our Mr. Ripper, what can he do instead? To try and fill that void, what can he do? Well, we've seen, haven't we? He resorts to taunting the loved ones of his victims and presumably get a kick from hearing their distress and their upset and their suffering. I think it makes complete sense that he stopped killing because of something physical preventing him from continuing, but he still has his own dark passenger to satisfy. I don't think that's much of a reach, is it? What will be interesting is seeing how Dexter explores this. Last season, they showed us how Dexter's physical condition might be starting to show the signs of age. He's in his 50s now. Still in good shape, no doubt. Right, ladies? But not the same level of physical fitness we saw in the original series. Dexter, we saw, left the Ripper file in Prater's museum, knowing Claudette would eventually find it. A little gift. I mean, he could have just taken it himself, but he chose not to. We asked a question last season about how Claudette realised Dexter was right about the Ripper's weapon and recognised his knowledge and experience. Game recognises game, doesn't it? And we wondered if down the line she might reach out to him and consult on the Ripper case or maybe some other case, but I think it'll be about the Ripper. It will perhaps pique Dexter's curiosity about an ageing serial killer, now too elderly and infirm to continue killing, and having to resort to something else to satisfy his darkness. Dexter faces that same prospect as he gets older, and maybe this will be a theme of season 2, with Dexter considering his ultimate mortality, the inevitable ticking of the clock as he gets older, old Father Time, and he feels older. It's unavoidable, however much he tries to keep in shape. He can't hold back the aging process forever. And he will eventually face a time when he has to consider whether he still has the physical capability to keep killing and have enough of a physical edge to cope with any challenge from a would-be victim. It's a fascinating prospect and would take the show into a new direction. Perhaps there are ways he can adapt his MO to account for any disadvantage from his increasing maturity. I'm talking about him like he's a pensioner. Of course he's not. He's still in good shape. But it's something he could be thinking about this season, and I wonder if he will make sure he's a step ahead of Claudette in finding the Ripper, locating him and meeting him, getting to know him and exploring these questions with the Ripper himself. Fun times ahead. All right, so anything else happening this week? There was a casting call in New York for a female to play a waitress in her 30s for featured background work. There have been videos and articles on the socials speculating what this part could be or what it could mean, but honestly, they shouldn't bother. Featured background work doesn't mean too much. It's kind of like an extra, probably non-speaking or minimal dialogue, who isn't a significant character at all, but might just be in the foreground of a scene. In this case, we know it'll be someone who is in a Manhattan bar, perhaps serving our main characters. The date of the work is given as April the 15th, so something to appear in the first episode of the season, I assume. Elsewhere, on Scott Reynolds' social media, he shared a photo of a cool location, perhaps one they'll be using in the show. He doesn't confirm in the post if it is one that they'll be using in the show, maybe just an interesting view that he saw. It's a graveyard backed by what looks like a power station with twin tall chimney stacks, a bit like Battersea Power Station in London. The gravestones and tombs are really closely packed in. Could make for a fun horror movie type location. It was certainly an interesting picture. Scott's also posted a couple of teases about props for season 2. One was a plastic box labelled pipettes for blood scalpels. You can see the box is full of plastic pipettes. Could these be for Dexter's use at a kill table, taking that sample for a blood slide, or maybe something else? Could they be for a special effect and won't actually be on camera? Scott also shared a photo of a white bowl full of blood. His comment says, Today's bowl of blood brought to you by Prep for Dexter Resurrection Season 2. I don't think this was his lunchtime soup, but I can't imagine why they filled a bowl with fake blood. Maybe, I don't know, testing consistency for something that will feature in a scene. Who'd want a bowl of blood, though? Ugh. Lastly, yesterday, Scott shared a photo of a Resurrection-branded golf cart. Like you'd see people riding around large studio lots. I'm not sure how large the lot is at their new Sunset Studios, but maybe this is for taking Scott from his enormous trailer to set, or, I don't know, more likely perhaps Michael or another big star. In other news, we have information about the Season 2 directors. We already knew that Dexter veteran Marco Siego would be back to direct 6 of the 10 episodes, and indeed he's an executive producer, but his counterpart last year, Monica Raymond, is not returning. Instead, we have someone new to the Dexter family, Erica Dunton, who has previously worked on shows like Ted Lasso, Bad Monkey and You, which many compare to Dexter. Welcome to the family, Erica. Okay, that is all I've got for now. Whether these updates come every week from now on remains to be seen. It'll depend on what news comes out and my own schedule. But I'll try to chat to you fairly frequently to keep you up to date with what's going on and my thoughts about it. In the meantime, do let me know if you have anything to say about the news, my comments on it, or the upcoming season in general. I want to give a quick mention to listener Katie Jo, who dropped me a nice message to say she'd been listening and catching up on the old episodes. Thanks, Katie. And while I'm thanking folk, thanks as always to everyone who supports me on Patreon, with special thanks to my higher tier bonesaws, Nick, Phil and Kelly. If you like what you hear and want to support me, help pay the bills over here at the Dissecting Dexter studio, you can by visiting patreon.com/dissectingdexter, where you can support whichever reward tier you fancy. All tiers get access to ad-free episodes of the podcast and occasional shortcuts, Patreon exclusive podcasts. Next time we get together, filming will have begun. Next Monday, April the 13th, is Go Day, and there'll be sure to be plenty of updates from Scott and Marcos on the socials, but with shooting around New York, there'll be bound to be photos taken by public onlookers, many of which could be spoilery, so take care out there if you want to stay fully unsullied. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Dissecting Dexter. Twitter, it's Dissect Dexter. I'm on Blue Sky too, but I keep forgetting to post there, to be honest. Sorry about that. There's a YouTube channel as well, where you're probably watching this, and where I post some of the podcasts, but usually they're just the audio. I'm now just dabbling with the video format, and it's a whole lot of extra work. I have to brush my hair and editing and stuff. I don't always have time for that, so I can't commit. I do keep toying with the idea of doing short reactive videos. We'll see. Okay. I'll get going. Thanks for listening. We'll be back very soon dissecting some more Dexter together. But until then, take care, everyone. Bye for now.